Coming up on the Payment Talk today, we're having transfer rumours. Why not? We're in October. Let's talk about transfer rumours. Also, we'll be looking at Rasmus Hojlund and Ruud van Nistelrooy. Could this be a match made in heaven? Let's get into it. Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm outside Old Trafford and the weather, yeah, it's alright. It's pretty mild, to be honest with you. You might not even need your parkers. Loads of stories to get through, so we'll crack on. Before we do, though, make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. And it's always a better week when you've won at the weekend, isn't it? You can just enjoy it a little bit more. You've got a spring in your step. Life just seems that little bit better when Manchester United haven't ruined it for you. First of all, let's talk about some transfer stories. There's a few transfer stories doing the rounds, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know how likely any of them are, if I'm being brutally honest. There's one, Florian tweeted. We know Florian is a good friend of the channel. He knows his stuff. To be fair, works for Sky Germany, so he's always hot on the German transfer news. And he was talking about Florian Wirtz. I think it was Florian Wirtz. He was saying that basically there's interest in Florian Wirtz, and he was listing clubs that are interested in him. Manchester City, I think, are leading the way. But he also mentioned Manchester United have shown an interest in him. Now, listen, Wirtz has done very well at Bayer Leverkusen. Young attacking midfielder, scores loads of goals. Would love him here at Old Trafford. Do I see it happening? I doubt it. I'll be honest with you. I doubt it. I think that some of the numbers being sort of bandied around for him as well, around 150 million euros. It seems a lot of money for Manchester United to be paying for anyone. Now, can Manchester City afford that? Possibly. I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen with their charges and whether that's going to affect their transfer policy. They do seem to have some money in the kitty because they have sold a few players of late and they haven't gone big in the transfer window for, well, a season. So if City are in for him, you'd think that they could probably pay that sort of money. Could Manchester United? Potentially. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Get involved in the chat in the comments and let us know what you think about him. I think he's got 6 in 11 this season so far. He does score a lot of goals. Obviously, Leverkusen have been very successful over the last season and so it would be a good signing. It's just not one that I see happening. Another signing I probably don't see happening, and this is one, just listing transfers that probably won't happen. This is one I've seen doing the rounds about Kolo Muani from Paris Saint-Germain. Has been linked with Manchester United, and United apparently, a few outlets have got it, saying that he's on our radar. We're looking at maybe bringing him in. Again, big money for a player that's, I think that some of the figures being bandied around were around the £70 million mark, which isn't ludicrous, but he's a decent player. I think he's sort of, what is he, mid-20s now? I think his goal scoring records this season, I think it's like 2 in 7. I mean, he's all right. I don't think he's the answer to our problems, though. We're going to get to our strikers in a minute. I don't think he's the answer to our problems. If you want to get a sort of a player in who can bang in goals every week, is Muani that guy? I don't think he is. I think he's someone who, you know, he does all right. He's a decent player, but I don't think he's gonna come here and necessarily even get in the first team. You might look at it and go, actually, Rasmus Hojlund might be a better option, or perhaps even Joshua Zirkzee. I know Joshua Zirkzee is not prolific, but you might look at him as a better option than someone like Muani. Muani's all right. I don't see that one happening. I'll be brutally honest with you. I don't think it's the sort of move Manchester United should be making. You may disagree. Get involved in the chat and the comments and let me know what you think. Another story doing the rounds. I think this one's from Give Me Sport. I think this is about Morten, Frendup, the midfielder. It's been touted as the next N'Golo Kante. I don't know about that one, but Manchester United being linked with him. He's at Genoa, doing very well there. Again, sort of all these different figures we keep hearing, anything between 70 to 100 odd million, depending on who you read. A lot of money. Young, I think he's about 21, around that age. Decent midfielder. Don't know loads about him. I'm not going to pretend I do. Want to keep an eye on. We'll wait and see what happens. Manchester United could be in the market for another midfielder in the summer, but again, it's all ifs and buts and maybes. The trouble with these transfer stories right now is we're in October. So, yes, we might go out and get someone in January. That's 50-50 whether that's going to happen. We'll have to wait and see where the finances are. But trying to predict what Manchester United are going to do next summer, it's almost impossible, to be honest with you. That doesn't stop papers reporting on it, doesn't stop papers talking about it, and doesn't stop us telling you what is being reported. I'm just not so sure any of this is going to happen. We'll have to wait and see, though. One to keep an eye on. That's all I'm going to keep saying to you. Just keep an eye on it. That's all I can tell you. I can't say it's going to happen right now. I can't say you've got Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Dave Brailsford flying over to Genoa or wherever to make these deals happen. It's not. But we'll wait and see if any of them do come to fruition. We'll talk about some of the players we've got. There's an article, I think, in The Independent talking about Rasmus Hojlund and Ruud van Nistelrooy, about their relationship and what's going on there, and asking the question about Ruud van Nistelrooy, whether he can get Rasmus Hojlund banging in goals every week. Now, Rasmus Hojlund scored, obviously, at the weekend. He hasn't been injured this season. Unfortunate as well, because he started off in pre-season with that goal against Arsenal and then got injured almost straight away. Now the theory is that Ruud van Nistelrooy, who is obviously one of the greatest goal scorers of all time, that he can come in here, or he has come in here, and that maybe he can work with someone like Rasmus Hojlund and get him to that next level, get him kicking on, get him to be prolific, because I think Rasmus Hojlund is a very good striker. He's got some great traits. Is he prolific? Not really. His numbers are decent. I think, was it 16, 17 last season in all competitions? So they're pretty solid numbers, especially for a young striker who's just come to the Premier League. If he can raise it up a little bit, if he can get past that 20 goal mark, that's when you start looking at strikers and going, okay, if you're getting around 1 and 2, you're on that sort of prolific trajectory, and maybe even push even further. I think he's got it in his locker to maybe get there. We'll have to wait and see. And there's lots of ifs and buts and maybes, which seems to be the theme of the news this morning. But Ruud van Nistelrooy is the perfect man to get the best out of a striker like that. He knows about playing for Manchester United. He knows about goal scoring for Manchester United. He can work with him. He's a good coach as well. Good players don't often make good coaches. Some of the best players you've ever seen don't always make the best coaches. Brian Robson's probably the best midfielder, the best leader, the best captain we've ever had here. One of them, certainly. Was he a great manager? No, he did okay. Roy Keane. We all love Keano. Again, phenomenal captain. One of the best leaders I have ever seen on this pitch at Old Trafford. Was he a great manager? No, he did all right. So it doesn't necessarily mean that just because you're a good player, you're a good manager. But with Ruud van Nistelrooy, he has got a pedigree because of what he did at PSV, and from the conversations we've been having, what we've seen, he does seem to have settled well here as a coach at Manchester United, and the players do seem to be responding to him. It's worth noting as well, he isn't just working with the strikers. It's easy to look at Ruud van Nistelrooy and go, well, he was a mint striker, he's coming in and he's just going to be a striker, he's going to do the business for Manchester United as a striker. I don't know if that's the case, because I don't think that's the case, sorry. We spoke to Wes Brown in pre-season, and he was saying that the good thing about Ruud van Nistelrooy, yes, he was a phenomenal striker, and obviously can work with the strikers, can also work with the defenders. Who knows better about what defenders need to be coping with, what to be looking out for than Ruud van Nistelrooy, because you don't always need to be a defender to work with defenders. As a striker, you can work with them and say, look, this is what I used to hate as a striker. This is what made it difficult for me to try and get amongst the goals. When the defenders did this, I didn't like it. All that sort of stuff. Also working with the midfielder as well. He's not just going to be focusing on strikers. He's not been brought in just as a striker coach. He's brought in as a coach, as an assistant to Erik ten Hag, and that's what he's been doing. And hopefully, if he can work with Rasmus Hojlund as well as the other players as well, but specifically if he can work with Rasmus Hojlund, he can get him banging in the goals every week. Very impressed with Hojlund at the weekend. Thought he links up well with Garnacho and Marcus Rashford, and he took his goal well as well. Lovely little finish too. Kept going, did all the hard work too. Just what you want to see from your number 9. Hopefully we'll see him scoring more goals for Manchester United for many years to come. Just on one last thing as well, I've had a bit of an injury update. When I say an injury update, it's almost a non-update. I think there's an article, I think in the Evening Standard, one or two other places are covering this, about some of the players that are out. The interesting one for me was that Casemiro was on that list. I think he had a little bit of a calf issue. We'll see what happens with that one ahead of the Fenerbahce game. Also Mason Mount, we need an update on him. I didn't think it was that serious, his injury, but we don't know why he's not been featuring for Manchester United, so we'll get a little bit more of an update when the manager speaks ahead of the Fenerbahce game. So make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. I've been Jay Motty. This has been the Paper Talk outside a pretty mild Old Trafford. Thanks for watching.